Hello, and welcome to the first in a multi-video part series for the Uncharted Reloaded project. I myself am Vampire, and this video, the first one, is titled My Biggest Regrets and the Issues in the Uncharted Reloaded project that I myself have gone through and faced. So you must be thinking, the video must be about the Blood Oath, right? I mean, that's in the thumbnail. It's obviously the thing I'm going to talk about in this video. Well, you're wrong. So prior to beginning kind of the video and getting into the main detail, I want to go over like an introductory background of information that I kind of have to get out of the way. Otherwise, some of it really won't make sense. This is going to be a long video. The first couple of videos are going to be long, just so I can discuss the issues that I have, gone over. So this video goes into the beginning stage of the alpha. The alpha was released in 2024. So obviously, I will link the other videos in the description or throw the thumbnails up whenever I get to them. I want to just say that these videos are usually going to be an outlier for this channel. One, the videos won't usually be this long. Two, I won't really comment on drama in the future because it's not worth my time and it wastes a ton of energy that can be spent on other things. I'm not really going to respond back if I get some kind of actually response or calling me a liar or whatnot. I don't really care. I'm telling you what happened, and I'm not going to play a cat and mouse game of he said, she said, or disproving their side of the story or whatever. The point of these videos is to make it kind of clear what has kind of gone on since starting this project. When I say starting this project, I mean with the release, not prior to the announcement with the beta and the trailers. Especially since I've been kind of silent on the issues. People say things, and I won't really respond publicly. The point of these videos is not to attack people or turn the community against them. It's to point out a lot of what I had to deal with and what other staff had to deal with while doing this project in the last 2 years. Hopefully the people in these videos actually listen to what I have to say and take what I say to heart and either change their behavior going forward or we put whatever happened between us behind them. I'm sure someone will hear the name and they're going to go into like this frenzy and attack me or post a giant, like a rant. Not that they haven't done that already. They're free to do that, but I'm not going to keep wasting my time on drama that happened months ago or even recently. If they want to keep living in the past, they're free to. I wanted to get kind of all of this out of the way of why I'm doing this now, and you can see a video kind of alleviating to that. It's supposed to be like a history lesson, this video, I guess, but your teacher's a bat instead of, a normal teacher. Somebody's going to be like, I hate the bat. That's okay too. So when we first started the alpha, it was a beta with a small number of players. Very early on, it was acknowledged that we should really take care on doing the release. Because once we did a release and the online was revived, people would be asking for access 24/7. They'd be expecting communication updates or updates in general. We had this big plan not to rush, to kind of take our time getting everything that we needed to, and then to release the beta when we were ready. In August 2024, we released the trailer. I'm going to be honest, we really should have released the trailer or did kind of an open alpha at that time. You see, I go into this in my other video, but I'm going to reiterate here. I was working 3 jobs at the time. I'd later drop one around the time of release just because I wasn't getting enough hours and the time to get to work via the commute just really wasn't that great. However, I was also, even whenever I dropped these 2 jobs, I was doing school full-time and volunteering while trying to run the server. It ended up with me juggling all this and just having to do a server release. You see, one of the original admins who helped us from the start was getting tired of not seeing any type of progress that we were doing turn into a release or a release trailer. I don't really blame him for that, but what it meant was me then throwing myself into extra work on top of my already busy schedule to get the server ready for release, alongside the other admins and staff working on stuff. I should have told them, no, wait, because as much as we were good friends and he was there from the start, he really wasn't contributing as much as he could to the project. And after the release, his interest faded and he eventually just left the team and didn't really say goodbye. He was a good friend. It's kind of really sad. There wasn't a falling out or anything. It's not like he hates us or there was some drama. It's just real life, I guess, got a hold of him and he stopped being active. The other admins didn't get a goodbye. I didn't get a goodbye. The only reason I found out he was really done with the project was we communicated through a mutual friend of both of ours who said that he was basically done with everything and didn't mention why. kind of came out of nowhere and blindsided the team. He just stopped replying and eventually went missing in action. The admin who kept really pushing and pushing for a release, he just up and vanished. It wasn't too long ago. I think it was about 6-7 months ago. Tracking time is a bit hard because I'd have to look back and go into old messages, and it was not worthwhile to do it for this video. I almost feel like quoting Avatar: The Last Airbender, like, and when the world needed him most, he vanished. Except it wasn't that serious. I do wish he would have said goodbye and such, and I hope he's okay with whatever is going on in his life. I wish I could hear from him again. Uncharted YouTuber named O. Cooper mentioned in one of his videos a while back, I don't remember which one, that it seemed like we weren't prepared for release, and to be honest, we really weren't. At the time, I had alpha players wanting more players and pushing for us to open the floodgates, and I had the one admin really wanting to get the ball rolling and announce the alpha. I should have taken the time to push back and not do a release, but everything happens for a reason, I suppose. So this is where it gets into what my biggest regrets were. You needed that background information to kind of understand where I was heading with this. The first regret of mine was releasing the alpha and the servers to the public too early. This was probably the biggest regret of mine, especially when the workload was essentially killing me. The second was not selecting good staff or properly vetting them prior to putting them on the team. And I'll go into both of these and what I mean by this in more detail, obviously, in this video. People in the community tends to despise me or outright hate me. And I'm not saying I don't deserve some of it, or maybe all of it. A lot of it is probably warranted. From August 2024, however, to November 2024, you have to kind of put yourself in my shoes and understand how much I was working. I was working 2 jobs, equating to full-time work, doing school full-time, volunteering, doing leadership programs, and trying to run this server and get the alpha going, including a trailer. I don't think a lot of people in the community kind of knew that I had that much going on at the time, and even the other developers and admins had a lot on their plate, and they still do. It's not we were doing this full-time, we had lives, we had social lives, we had jobs, we had other things that was happening, that it wasn't just a full-time devotion to the server, even though I think some people think that is my job without how I respond to tickets and stuff. I say this because you kind of need to understand this workload to understand how we got to the situation we did with moderation and how I got frustrated to where we ended up and how other staff also got frustrated. It's also me making these videos to try to communicate with the community how we ended up where we did, or why I can come off as such a bitch sometimes, why people might see me seemingly get frustrated or kind of snap. The intent of this video is not to lambaste the individuals or point my fingers at them and go, these guys are awful, look at them, go harass them. That's not the point. The point is to kind of clear the air after being silent about things for so long and not turning the community against anyone or anything, but explaining why certain things happen and that nothing is as black and white as it seems. So at the end of the day, the other staff and myself especially always tried to do what was the best for the community and not have this end up a toxic mess like Uncharted 4. Where you have constant cheaters, people speed glitching. I'm using speed glitching, but just glitching in general. But speed glitching is the most common one, or going out of bounds, or just being toxic. The things that drove people away from Uncharted 4. You go play Uncharted 4 right now, it's the same, 10 people? You find them again and again. Nobody plays. I get that, 1, it's an old game, and 2, it's on the PlayStation 4. But the community, really, nobody wants to go and play because every other match, somebody's glitching or playing unfair. I'm not saying I always did everything right with the Uncharted community and the Reloaded project. I always tried to learn from my mistake and tried my best. I made a lot of mistakes. I think, however, that some of the way the community acted and treated us, or even kind of the ordeals we went through, also took a heavy toll on us, and especially me, and it kind of led to the progression of how we ran moderation and a lot of other things. Imagine you're us, right? You've been working since 2019 on this project, and you've been working years on this. You paid for it in blood, sweat, and tears. It's 2024. It's been 5 years since the Discord was made by that point, in June 2019, and our trailer was released in August 2024. 5 incredible years to get to the level of modding we did, the setup we did, reviving 2 of the games at the time, which was Uncharted 3 and The Last of Us, and working on Uncharted 2 behind the scenes, with Uncharted 2 not even coming that much later for a release and getting a trailer. We've done all this within 2 years of release, and I guess 7 since, doing it. It's pretty amazing. I think people take that for granted, how much our team pushes to do patches and updates and the amount we do. comes to release, and immediately you get people coming in and cheating, hacking, being toxic, and even arguing with like moderators and staff. As the alpha progressed, it became really apparent that we needed moderators and staff to help our small team, as we really couldn't handle it alone. A lot of people in the community were thankful and grateful. You know, there's a lot of awesome people back then who were amazing, who are still amazing, and there's a lot of cool players who I got to meet and talk to. Probably not as much as I would have liked, because I'm always doing some kind of administrative stuff, but you get the idea. However, if you were in the early alpha, you probably know a lot about this toxicity or the cheating or the nonstop like aggression or attacks, or just how things were handled, or even how people treated us, or even just me losing my cool or temper. With all this going on, it led to me bringing people on board like Raptor, Stripes, who's known as Palm in the community, Vemdy, who's also known as Dark Brian, you know, a bunch of people who I didn't really know too well. You gotta have to remember, at the time, I didn't know a lot of these people personally or their history, so I was more than willing to bring on active members who I thought could be reputable or help. But this is where kind of the plethora of issues came up, and which ties to kind of both of my biggest regrets. The first, obviously, being we released too early, and the second being not properly vetting or choosing staff. And this is because having these people on board led to a lot of problems and a ton of issues that I didn't plan to account for, or that the team didn't plan on accounting for. If I didn't bring some of them on board, we probably would have had a lot smoother sailing than we did, and a lot less frustration. A bit of background. Stripes, or Palm as he is known, is one of the people who runs the competitive Discord and league known as Legacy Nation. You know, it is this website. I was thinking of like, what do I want to call it? It's an image on the PowerPoint that I made. But I was like, oh no, it's like I can't call it an image. It's the image from the website, right? If you don't know what Legacy Nation is, it's an Uncharted ladder for the competitive scene that mainly focuses on Uncharted 4. It has two other players on the admin team that work with him called Skate and Wolfie, who helped with the ladders and such that they ran. Early on, I was like, you know, this guy's got to be reputable. He's a good candidate for a moderator because he runs a Legacy tournament. They look professional. The website looks good, so it can't be bad to have him as staff, you know? He could obviously help out with the alpha. Logically, you're me. You're thinking, oh, this is a really good choice. I mean, it's obvious. I need staff to help in moderation. Except Stripes was friends and close with people such as Vemdy, Seastroy, Zedkidi, I don't know how to pronounce his stupid name, Usaida, who I think is also called Rocky. They were friends with all these problematic people. You might be wondering, what did Stripes do? He recommended some of them as moderators, such as Vemdy. And you might be wondering, who the hell are these people and why should I care? You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, you're just saying names. What does this have to do with anything? And I will get to that in this video and another video. A very quick rundown and background or info dump on them is, one, they all cheat. They have cheated or will cheat in this alpha going forward and have cheated in other games. Two, Stripes has a relationship with them, and that becomes an important factor later on. And three, Stripes is going to become problematic in how we deal with these players when they get caught cheating. Laying out this foundation of background information for a reason, because it's going to come to light later of how his relationship with them is prominent later on, and to a lot of issues going forward with the alpha. Another person I'm going to talk in this video is a person called Raptor. He's in the Uncharted 4 community. His username is XX-Raptor-A4 XX, or High Weaver as he's also known by. He's an Uncharted 4 player who does a lot of streaming and videos. When I first met him, you know, he gave good opinions on Uncharted 4 changes that should happen, and I was looking for people to help make the changes for Uncharted 3. And he was also recommended by a trusted admin from the Last of Us side of things, who said he would be a good fit for balance, and this individual, you know, I trusted a lot. They really recommended him. Once again, I should have vetted people properly and looked at their history more prominently, because he was known to get into fights with other members of the community, and he was known for being toxic. Always getting into talks surrounding politics. He does that on stream. The staff member also kind of thought he changed. It's been a long time. He hadn't talked to him as frequently as he had recently, so he didn't think he would be obsessed with politics, or he wouldn't be so problematic. And people change. At least you would hope people change. And I should have done my research. Someone else covered a video better on his behavior than myself and how he acts. You can find that in the video description, and I put a link up at the bottom, but it goes into how he is toxic and racist. It's literally called Why I Distanced Myself from XX Raptor A4XX, and in brackets you have toxic and racist. It's from 8 years ago. Surprisingly, funnily enough, this was brought to my attention after the issues with him by another staff member who joined staff when we released Uncharted 2. This staff member was like, well, it's well known Raptor's kind of a dick and toxic and fights with people. You're surprised? Even the guy in the video description he wrote this into the description. You can go on the video, you can open the description, you can see it. I want to do like quotations. My avatar doesn't move with the hands, so just imagine I'm doing quotations. I told you long time ago, Raptor, fight battles you can actually win. You're barking up the wrong tree, but you don't listen. Hence, every time you try to harass me, you'll get a lot more than you can handle. There's a lot of evidence from where these came from. Too bad Raptor didn't take his advice! Now we get into the actual things that led to where we are today. And this video going forward is going to be mainly about these two players. Raptor and Stripe. At least this video. The other videos will talk about other players. Once again, this isn't a go reply to them and generate hate to them or turn the community against them video. It's just me explaining how I personally got to a point of frustration and fatigue and how we got to where we are today and a lot of the decisions that happened in that time. By explaining all this, I'm hoping the community gets why I got to the point I did, why I became frustrated, and why it's not just black and white of, yeah, Vampire sucks, he should go die, or he's awful, or he's unreasonable. I also want to point out that I will be showing old staff chats and dialogue, which I normally don't do, but someone's going to be like, where's the evidence? Going forward after these series of videos, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to show old staff chats. I'm not going to touch upon drama in the community or talk about any type of background. It's just not worth it. I don't really care to show chats from private staff chats from the Reloaded project. It's just not worth it. This is just kind of to clear the air on some of the rhetoric and bullshit that constantly gets hurled about me or the project, that I'm the complete source of all evil. Nothing is ever that simple. Everyone always has their sides of the story. Everyone always has their perspective. I'm not saying my side is completely right. I mess up a lot. I'm aware of that. However, I'm also not going in public and harassing people, writing rants about them or posts because I just find it childish. I'm not saying you can't critique somebody, but when you start, you'll see later what I mean, like some of the stuff that Raptor posts, especially in public or on his videos, it's not that simple. You're always listening to a perception or voice when somebody talks and giving their opinion or views or perspective. One's perspective isn't always the true perspective. Fast forward from August 2024 to November 2024, you have me killing myself, doing a lot of everything. I had other admins doing stuff. It's not just me, but what I mean by that is me doing a lot of the moderation, me dealing with a lot of drama in the community, which the other admins, and I don't blame them, wanted nothing to do with. By November 2024, I'd quit both of my jobs. I moved to a different country and was planning to once again move countries again in February. I was still doing school in November, but I managed to do it online, and I was wrapping that up. So it's a long story. I'm not going to get into why the specifics because it's too much to go into for this video. But basically, I was supposed to study in Asia for a year, and my university screwed me over. From this point on in the video, though, from November 2025 to February 2026, I was preparing to study abroad and had just jumped to North America to get things ready for that. August to November, trailer release, working 2 jobs mostly. I had 3 at one point, doing extracurriculars, school, blah, 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 blah. Then November to February, doing other stuff to get ready for moving to another country for school. So at the same time as these things are going on, I have a lot happening in the server. I'm in the progress of getting visas and other things related to going to another country in Asia. This is important because it's not like I wasn't busy doing stuff. It's not like I was just spinning around on my chair and be like, ooh, yay, just get to chill, do nothing. I just get to engage in drama all day. This is the greatest. I was doing stuff. At this point, I'd been dealing with trying to moderate the community since August, dealing with a plethora of cheaters, hackers, a bunch of other things related to the server. This isn't even accounting for all the ult. It was nice finally to not be killing myself in real life, working non-stop and doing other things on top of it. So from November 2025 to 2026, I'm still busy. Doing a lot, had a lot on my plate, thinking, oh, at least the server will be calm, everything will go smoothly. I thought it would be smooth sailing. Sounds nice, right? No more working, you can finally have some time to relax and focus on paperwork that you need to do to get study. Just kidding! We're about to get into drama and players making my life hell and staff's life hell, but mostly my life hell because I was doing a lot of the moderating. This is the start of our actual story. I know. This took way too long to get to as a background introduction. No, I know. I am so sorry. I feel for you. If I just started talking, though, you would go WTF, not really get anything of why I would be so frustrated or what was going on in my life, which is important because it has to do with getting frustrated with dealing with the community just 6 months in. So it's December 2025. The Balance team talks about nerfing Fleetfoot. And the topic of a stealth nerf comes up. O. Cooper originally suggested nerfing Fleetfoot, I believe. I didn't go scroll back because it's not really important who suggested nerfing Fleetfoot. That's not the important part of this dialogue. The important part is you can see Raptor, and I highlighted this in red, talking about how the Balance team is very competent and that he agreed to the changes. This is important later. So he says, these are all good changes / suggestions, and I do not think there will be any legitimate pushback to them. It's clear that the balancing team is very competent in discussing potential buffs and nerfs in practical terms. Remember that. We'll get to it later. It's me trying to say, Raptor literally approved of the stuff going into the next upcoming patch at this time. He helped decide stuff for it. He came in and he communicated it. The next picture shows a part of the conversation where Raptor was the original person who suggested a stealth nerf of Fleetfoot to see if the community would notice. He stated he'd be fine with both the Fleetfoot nerf and the stealth patching and things without telling the community. I highlighted in red again. You're so welcome. I feel like, you're gonna pause the video to read the whole thing, but it's you can do that. Feel free to. Good riddance. Yeah, I'll advocate in favor of a couple stealth changes, Fleetfoot being the only one I can really think of. Also, I didn't mean to put this red dot in the middle. You might be wondering why is this editing so shit? This was kind of me just really quickly doing it, and I was like, you know what? It would take so much time after compiling all this evidence to remove it that I'm just not gonna bother. Yeah, at the bottom of this screenshot, you can say, I don't mind the Fleetfoot or DS nerfs. I think they're fine this way. We come up as a group with a time frame. A month being what we choose to keep Fleetfoot secret from the community and not saying anything, and to see if anyone notices that we changed it before we announce it. I want to highlight again very much the fact that Raptor suggested this nerf, said he was on board and okay with it. Why? Because you'll see later on how he's a hypocrite and two-faced about this. So we released a stealth patch. Everything is quiet for a month. We agreed to announce it at the end of the month because most players had been playing with it silently nerf and nothing was said and no one noticed. When we do announce it, all hell breaks loose with players fighting us, players cheating in-game as a response. Not everyone, okay, but there were certain players who just started cheating because of a Fleetfoot nerf. Started being toxic. And I want to outline, clearly this was a mistake on our part. We should have been forthcoming with the community about the change, but every time players suggested or talked about Fleetfoot, whether it was advocating for nerfing it, fighting it for the defense of not touching it, people would battle each other to the death and argue and go over full-out war over a booster. Especially certain players would throw a fit and not even let dialogue go or even hint at touching Fleetfoot. A no-go zone, a controversial subject. O. Cooper kind of talked about it in his video, how a lot of players kind of act immature about touching it and how people react to it. I'm not going to go and get into that. You can watch his older videos if you want kind of information and perspective on that. We thought as a team, hey, we'll find out if anyone really notices, right? If Fleetfoot is such a big deal and we nerf it and no one notices or says anything for a month, it's obviously not as controversial as touching as we would think. Once again, I'm not defending our choice here. We should have just told the community what we were doing. We made a mistake. Going forward, we don't do that. We don't hide what nerfs or buffs or changes we do. We outline it in the patch notes. You live and learn. One player, at least in public, did notice. His name was Cursed Soul. He mentioned to us about touching the M9 aim. However, obviously, we didn't touch the M9 aim. We touched Fleetfoot. But every other competitive player was kind of silent on the changes or didn't notice until we announced the nerf. Apparently, some people noticed in private groups, but they never said anything to us. And I'm not discounting them. They probably did notice. I would be surprised if certain competitive players didn't notice, if they were just wool over their eyes. They probably knew something was changed. They may have not known what. I won't go into details of everything because it's a hellscape of arguments and fighting. And looking back, we probably should have not done a stealth nerf. We learn from that, right? Everyone makes mistakes. We learn, or we try to. That's trying to be the motto or mantra that I go with. I'm not perfect by any means. You've all seen me, screw up in the community, try my best. I'm always trying to learn and improve. That's the best I can do, especially with the challenges that are presented with a community like this. The community's reaction, a lot of the way the people acted, I'd want to say, I don't know if this is the right word, wasn't appropriate. Maybe that is... not the right word because some people may think their reactions were appropriate. And I get it. A lot of people were upset. This is a booster that is a core identity game. A lot of people are passionate about this game. Touching it is taking part of their childhood away or part of the game away, especially something that is so fundamental to the game and how it's played on a competitive level. We get the community freaking out. This is the main issue, though, with Raptor. Well, the start is he starts fighting with people in the community and trying to rile them up. I want to stress that I had canceled my phone plan because it was getting close to jumping abroad, and I was like, do I really want to pay X amount of money for a phone plan? The day that we did this announcement, I was going downtown to get a visa to get the country to approve and paperwork. And if you know anything about visas, you can't, it's a process, it's annoying, it's not exactly a fun time waiting in line and doing everything and blah, 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 blah. You get it. Anyone who's done any type of government paperwork knows what I'm talking about. I have that on my plate, and imagine you're dealing with that. You have an explosion of fights. You have Raptor. Fun fact, prior to this, I'd get stuff like this sent to me from people or have to deal with this type of stuff all over someone, the only instance, but I'd get this one in particular was them talking about AIDS and gay people. This is the type of stuff that we get as staff, especially myself, a lot, quite often, where this is the type of response you get. So imagine dealing with this a lot of the time, and this is often what I have to deal with or others have to deal with and get harassed with. Fun fact, this guy actually tried to DM me to get unbanned or send a friend request. Sorry, dude, I was super preoccupied at the time, but if you do want to get unbanned, feel free to send a friend request on Discord. I get it, people make mistakes, people learn from mistakes, so at least I hope we try to give chances and learn. We get people start reading the announcement and the dialogue starts. You can pause, you can read it yourself. I won't go into too much detail for a lot of it. Some of the community is okay with it, others are not. You have people obviously not happy, and then Raptor starts his favorite pastime, his favorite hobby, fighting with people and being toxic. You can see this in red is an example where he responds to somebody saying, I'll be respectful when I see them acting like adults. He starts fighting with people in the chat. You can pause them, read them if you want in the video, so you can actually go through them. We get people start being rude. Sultan, or Semley as he's known, because he'll be featured in our upcoming video on another subject. He says, can we remove all weapons? I think it would be great. And just being kind of an ass about it. He keeps pinging us to keep making remarks, remove all maps and stuff. I get it. We touched a booster. You're upset about it. I even brought up to him, it's funny because you played so much in the last month, but you had no problem with anything till we told you. No tantrum, no noticing it till we made the announcement. Then you start throwing a tantrum. I even said don't ping individual stuff, and he starts pinging me. You have no reason to ping me at this point. I could read your messages without you needing to ping me. You're just doing it to not listen to the announcement that said don't ping individual staff. As I said earlier, some people did make the claim that they talked in private about Fleetfoot behaving strangely. So I'm going to go with the idea that people did notice. It's important to say this because even if they noticed, they didn't say anything in public, right? At the time, we were like, nobody said anything except cursed. People probably did notice. I want to clarify that because I'm going to get somebody in the comments who's going to be like, I didn't notice. Like, I'm not saying you didn't. You 100% you probably did. But I'm saying you didn't say anything. It was not communicated in the public Discord. You can see TCG say this. I was wrong then. People clearly noticed. I'm saying that people didn't tell us or talk about anything in public. They talked about it in private Discord, so it's hard to know what they were thinking. We had people talking in Discords while playing that it feels like the boosters or Fleetfoot aren't working correctly. You see him say, oh, fuck off, kid. It's in the middle. It's kind of highlighted. You see him get into a fight with Steve. Skull theories, it's a very racist theory. I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think Steve, who's German, kind of picked up on this or knew about this. I think he just got mad and insulted Raptor without thinking of the connotation. Remember, his first language isn't English. He may not have studied skull theory or known about it. At this point, remember, I'm losing Wi-Fi in and out because I'm taking transit because parking downtown is expensive. I'm not really that active in these chats. You can see Raptor fighting again, saying, I ain't reading all that to what TCG wrote. You say, going actual caveman, etc. I say start timing people out, Raptor. If you're fighting, I can't do so on shit Wi-Fi. Instead, you see Raptor, and I highlight this in red. I'm not doing that. I'm one of these fuckers. Then I'll time you out. I then have TCG ping me again, saying, why is staff acting like... He pinged Sky too. He's saying, why is staff acting like this? And he's 100% right. Why is Raptor not muting people or timing them out and still fighting with them? I'm not even saying we're perfect. I'm not perfect. A lot of staff aren't perfect. I'm not expecting anyone to be perfect in any situation. The whole dialogue, the stealth nerf, the entire situation really could have been handled better. Even on my part. Even my responses could have been handled better. We messed up, our bad. However, Raptor fighting and kept going, trying to instigate and fighting with people and attacking them and not listening is not helping. I eventually tell everyone to chill. I timed out Raptor and say if they want to discuss it, they can not blow up and act like this in public. I even say I'll talk to Raptor. I even say if people, in the last screenshot, if people keep acting out like this, I'm going to just do 30 days bans because it's getting a little ridiculous. TCG says, read the chat again and tell me that I'm the one starting insults and you can remove me from the server. You should check if Raptor should be in your staff if you want to add me to private chats to later. He's pointing out Raptor started attacking him, insulting him, and fighting him first. He's just fighting back and defending himself. What ends up happening is Steve, that German player, gets a ban for the Skull Theory comment, and the ban is given out by Stripes. Remember Stripes? We talked about him earlier. TCG ends up messaging me about that, the behavior Raptor exhibited, and I agreed wholeheartedly with it. You know, and I talked to Raptor while also appealing Steve's ban. You have another one where I asked them if they're good, how the Germans are doing, and if everything's okay, especially because Raptor was attacking them. I just want to make sure everyone's fine. Eventually, we revert Fleetfoot back to its original after the backlash, and we upset the community, and we don't do any stealth nerfs in the future. Lesson learned. However, the next few pictures will be me talking to Raptor and trying to work with him to not, we should try to do better. That's the best thing we can do. We all mess up. We all mess up sometime. You know, even I mess up. That going forward, we should try to learn our best. He says these guys joke about whoever all day, etc. Basically just trying to defend his point. A talk about appealing Steve's ban. I didn't just time him out. Raptor started actually fighting with Stripes because I gave Stripes the verdict on whether or not to grant an appeal to Steve. Removed his ban because Raptor was the one instigating and fighting with them and provoking them. Raptor basically tried to argue with Stripes that Steve deserved to be banned. The Raptor situation should be put behind us, right? No more problems in the future. Now, we're still in January, and I have accusations of people like Zed Kidier, UC and C-Story cheating. These are all friends of Stripes. Who's a moderator still at this moment? Stripes. I'm not going to play all these videos because it'll turn an already long video into 500 hours, but you can see UC, which is Stripes' family member, being accused of cheating. Raptor, King's All staff, shows videos of UC cheating. UC is one of Stripes' family members. Stripes immediately comes in to defend them. Now, at this time, I was missing key important details in history. Originally, I had Skate and Wolfie, two legacy admins and moderators on staff prior to this incident, right? And I eventually removed them. You might be wondering, why would I remove them? Well, Stripes actually came to me and said instead of moderating, they were ignoring my messages and stuff going on in the staff chat to play Call of Duty and gamble on an esports Discord, esports website. Fuzzy on the details. I just know it was some sports betting website. I confronted them about this. They admitted they lost passion and didn't really want to deal with the non-stop drama. Imagine you have people as moderators, and rather than helping out, they hide and pretend to be offline. That was the reality of dealing with almost all people I had as moderators at this time, with anyone barely helping me except for a few to moderate. I already see someone going and typing in the comments, "But Vampire, why didn't the other admins help moderate?" Because they didn't want to? If someone is mainly here to program or do modding or do artwork, they aren't going to waste their time moderating and dealing with a toxic community. They just don't. I really don't want to either, but I try to so we have a healthy community and a good place for people to play in, that it's not people being driven away. The person I put on the team, Stripes, is a moderator who I intended to have help out and not hide their friends cheating. Skate at one point told me in the legacy chat, and I'm not going to show these chats because they're in another server. I don't own the server, or I'm not. What I'm trying to say is I'm not an authority figure on the server. I don't think it's fair for me to show chats unless I absolutely have to from their private discussion. It would be kind of a dick thing to do, I think, even if I was part of that at one point or whatnot. Skate, in one of these legacy chats, told Stripes in the chat that UC/Rocky has a history of cheating in Uncharted 4. Everyone knew it. Stripes kept and going and defending him because they are family. It's important to note that despite Skate and Wolfie kind of hiding and not really helping moderating, I actually do really appreciate and commend Skate for being kind of cool and honest about these things. He could have just said nothing. He could have been, I don't know, I've never heard of it. I don't know anything about these cheating. But in that legacy chat, that Stripes tried and has denied UC/Rocky cheating multiple times. Skate was basically cut the bullshit. Everyone knows, and that his ties to them will be something that gets him in trouble. trouble later. However, I do wish that Wolfie and Skate both told me they weren't interested in moderating, so I didn't have to find out from Stripes. It's not a big deal, though. A lot of the issues I had with the current moderation staff at the time was not really helping to moderate and not really stepping in to alleviate some of the problems. I'm dealing with stuff in my real life, right? I'm basically having moderators not really help, and the ones who are on staff are either hiding or not taking it seriously or sabotaging any investigation of their friend. I want to repeat, not every moderator. I did have some good moderators. It's just the majority of them at the time didn't take it seriously or didn't help. Not everyone. I had some good ones. I don't want to somebody watching this video and say, oh no, Vampire, I was a moderator then and you hated me and blah, blah. That's not what I'm saying. I'm aware there were people who were good on moderation staff. What do I mean by sabotaging? Watch these messages. You can see Raptor pointing out that it's suspicious that we continue to talk. What's suspicious is the gameplay videos that was being shown and stuff, that we continue to talk in the chat about it, and who comes in to defend his family members. Why? Stripes, of course. We have Stripes saying, I don't think it's weird, he doesn't need to look at this. I didn't know about the UC thing and cheating being so prominent. Skate wouldn't lie to me later. I didn't know about it at this time. I made a point to outline how Zed Kiti, which is one of his friends, and Epis, we had footage of them in a lobby with rank 75 no legacy, and then 3 days later they're rank 75 legacy 3 or something, that they cheated and hacked. His other friends start cheating. Another competitive player says it's more than suspicious. Yo, Vamps, please stop wasting your time and energy on that. It's more than suspicious at the top. I point out that Stripes doesn't think other people are cheating. Clearly, even though I said it was suspicious, even though it keeps happening and stuff, I gave the benefit of doubt to Stripes. We get to this incident with Raptor, but before we do, I want to talk about Stripes' cheating and the problems with the community and led to the blood oath. It was me, mostly, constantly dealing with toxicity, constantly dealing with drama and cheaters, with moderation staff at the time mostly doing nothing. You have to remember, from June 2024 to about January 2025, and still today, it was constant toxicity in the server, problems and issues, and me mostly having to deal with it, usually solo. Like I said, I was at a point where I became frustrated logging in every other day, dealing with that. The idea with the blood oath was the idea that, let me explain what the blood oath is. So the blood oath was the idea that if we would cut down the number of players to 100, because we couldn't verify who were alts and who were legit players, and we were aware that there was a ton of alts. We would have these 100 players be able to recommend a friend, and if your friend was toxic or cheated, you would get the same punishment as them. So if it was a 30-day ban, you would get a 30-day ban. The idea was you wouldn't recommend somebody who would be problematic in the community, and we wouldn't have to deal with it so much. This seemed like the perfect solution, because we had a ton of people playing on alts in the alpha, circumventing bans on their alt, cheating constantly and hiding in alt. Seastroy and his friends did this all the time. So even if we did ban someone, there wasn't really a good whitelist system. We have a good one now with the website, but there wasn't one to prevent people from getting on and playing. The Blood Oath was a system that I thought would be able to stop a lot of the problems that I was dealing with and that our staff was dealing with, especially since we didn't have the resources to deal with it at the time. In hindsight, this wasn't the best move. I don't regret the blood oath. I was at my wit's end, and I had almost no help with moderating. A very few staff members to help. I had my own staff member at the time, Stripes, actively sabotaging investigations and using his position to get his cheating friends off. You had on top of this me basically solo moderating, the constant toxicity in the Discord, people fighting back when they got a ban, raising hell with them and their friends. I wanted to get that out of the way because it's important to know that the blood oath, that is the thumbnail of this video, came from a lot of what was happening with my own staff and cheaters in the community and such. We get to Raptor, right? And I started after the German incident not feeling really that great with Raptor. This is where Raptor starts making comments and stereotypes about Arabic players or Arabic people in general or Muslims. When you have an ethnicity or religion, it's not a blanket thing fits all in one. That's not how it works. There's different cultures within the Middle East. There's different takes on religion. There's a bunch of interpretations. I'm not a religious expert, so don't ask me about it. I'm just pointing out that it's not as simple. You can see some of the comments he made where a cultural disdain for women, etc., that he's saying all Arabic players are kind of like this. And I have Arabic staff, and I still do, who are getting offended or upset about these comments, which is fair. One of them, you can see, chimes in. She or he is like, unfortunately, there are some cultures in which the view on women is problematic, but it doesn't mean the whole group is. He, the guy we're talking about, has a twisted view in this case, but not all Arabs or Arabic players or people are like that, just like not all insert group are like something, which is a fair point. That is accurate. And Raptor starts arguing about it, saying, oh, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. Him saying, certain people within a certain demographic are this way. A lot of racist undertones in this, like saying, no, this is just how it is. One of my Arabic/Muslim staff members at the bottom saying it has to be said, especially when you say he's Arabic, like all Arabs are like that, and Arabic is a language, not an ethnicity. One of the people in the conversation actually got extremely upset about this and messaged me about it, saying he wasn't comfortable with the comment. He said it in another chat. I can't find it. Look, there was a lot of digging and evidence gathering for this video. It was too much. I spent over 10 hours on the script alone. Too much, okay? So don't please mad at me whenever I'm like, please, I didn't find every little piece of evidence. This is what he wrote to me. It's them saying, why do we have somebody on staff like Raptor who is repeating his opinion a million times and hates Uncharted 3. He says he hates Uncharted 3 all the time. This is where I should have trusted my instinct, except things kept getting worse with the community, and I launched the Blood Oath initiative that I talked about. This is where it gets even worse with Raptor. During this time, I point out that I'm not a fan of his attitude, that he'd contribute or add to the problem with a lot of how he was acting with attacking people and how he treats people. I bring up TCG, yeah, ChatGPT is right, blah, blah, blah. It's just rude. It's just a personal bias, according to Raptor. I point out this is the exact attitude. Others have brought up that you're problematic and they don't like how you act, and I was sick of it. You blame everyone else, the Germans, the Muslims or Arabic players on staff, and it's how you talk to everyone, including me. Has the audacity to say, oh, those 3 people didn't like me from 10 years ago. I was like, one of these staff members has just met you recently. And I don't even think the Germans really knew you that well. Maybe they did. Maybe they knew of you. Not that well. You can see him going that TCG insulted all disliked us in 2013. Okay, I don't know the history of that. Maybe they all hate Raptor. I mean, I can't blame people for hating Raptor. Look at how he acts. And you know what? I'm done. I remove you because it's the way you talk to people and it's the way you act. I remove him because multiple people have issues with him. Somebody even said, I'll be honest, Raptor, even I have vented that you sometimes talk like a smug asshole, but I don't hold any serious grudges against you. A few days later, after calming down and thinking over a bit and talking to people, I do add him back to staff. This was a mistake. I should have listened to everything my heart and gut was telling me and what other issues he'd been causing, the way he was talking and the way other staff had brought up his problems and how he came off. But I thought maybe I was, in the heat of the moment, I made a mistake. Sometimes you think that. Maybe I was too hot-headed. Maybe I was too stubborn. Except Raptor kept getting, and I showed this chat because I forgot to blend out the names, but it's not really that important, right? You can see that Pyogo tells Raptor to stop. He literally says enough with the politics. Then you see this conversation that I included next, where he starts going against the Blood Oath idea. Remember, he's not helping to moderate. He's not doing anything to help the situation. He's actively making it worse. So, fun fact, a bit of background. We had server stability issues early on, where if you had more than, I think it was 45 players? Somebody can write in the comments if I'm wrong, if it was not 45. Anyways, back to what I was saying. At around 45 players, it used to the server would bug out and people couldn't play and people would get disconnected. One of the things was to kind of try to keep the whitelist low while we worked on that, and I was asked to remove players it came to another decision from an admin to remove players who aren't active or aren't really playing, because if they're not active, 1, it's taking a slot from somebody else who could play. 2, it could be somebody's alt, and why whitelist somebody's 6 alts and they only play on 1. And 3, the hope would be that by having only active players, you don't have it where we release a patch and 300 people come on just because we released a patch and because of the server stability issues. You can see Raptor attacking me. The fact majority of us on staff opposed the decision and didn't even tell us. Newsflash, Raptor, it was you constantly attacking people. Your behavior was part of the problem alongside a ton of other things, including stripes, that led me to get fed up and doing the Blood Oath. The decision was made while I was streaming. I don't think anyone knew about it, and not everyone agreed with it. Vampires just overstepping not only his authority, but the integrity of the service we intend to provide. Okay, first of all, you're right. I didn't inform Sky. I informed some of the other admins, though, who knew it would be going live and who were more involved with a lot of the decisions at the time. I'm not saying Sky didn't have decisions, but Sky wasn't moderating. Sky didn't have to deal with a lot of the issues. And here's the thing, I don't need to report to every admin or have every admin report to me on what we plan on doing. Isn't a bureaucracy. What I'm trying to say is bureaucracy like a government department where it takes forever to get things done because you have to go to A to B to C to D to get this person's approval, this paperwork done, this done. Unless something actively involves them within their role in the server, I'm not going to go to them to elaborate and explain every damn thing I'm doing. Like this YouTube video on the plan, originally for months I only told 2 other admins and 1 other staff member. Everyone else was out of the loop. I told them, I had a big project and plan I was working on, mostly solo, with advice from other staff members. Eventually I had one come in and really help, and the others kind of jumped on board. Not to the degree that, let me tell you everything I'm working on in this minute, because I don't need to micromanage them and they don't need to micromanage me, you know what I mean? If we had to go through every admin or every staff member's decision, nothing would get done. It's just that simple. It's the killer of efficiency and creativity and speed when you have to wait for someone to stamp everything at every step as it passes to every person. At the end of the day, when you work at any company or project, you will have people who disagree, you have different views on the project, and you'll have other disagreements among the team for certain actions. But at the end of the day, you still respect people, you don't undermine them, hopefully, and you don't start making it your sole campaign and mission to destroy someone working with you or push them off the team, which is what Raptor was doing here. I thought he was being sly and that I was too stupid to see someone trying to rally against me because I removed him the first time. He's like convenient how none of the biggest hitters on this team had any idea about it. You think I didn't talk to certain staff about it or that I wouldn't approach them? I did. But it's the amount of disrespect where you get this, we are not reversing the decision, and then he goes, how's the trip? And I just tell him, I'm not going to argue, I don't have time for it, and he's being a smug. It's that type of disrespect. Why would I ever keep you on staff if that's how you're talking to me or anyone on staff? You don't have to agree with everything I do. I'm not saying you do, but at the end of the day, I would hope, 1, you trust me, and 2, you're going to be respectful about it. Instead, he says, no one approved of it. I literally point out, other moderators did approve. Rad, Marcelo, Dante all agreed to go for it. It was constantly tired about me dealing with hackers and the likes and non-stop moderation issues, not to add on to the cheating accusations, that the invite system in place will hopefully relieve some of that pressure on myself and the very few moderators who were helping. And with the new moderation system, we really didn't have a lot of the Blood Oath system. We didn't have moderation problems except somebody using matchmaking. Like there was no mass toxicity and people throwing fits or cheating, because why would you cheat or do anything to get spot in the beta removed because there was a gamble here? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not sure if I'm making that clear. This is where the biggest comment that Raptor made that made me remove him. Like, despite this, despite the disrespect, despite everything else, this was the comment that made me remove him. Because it was clear he was trying to turn people against me, and you can see that based on some of the comments being displayed. This final comment, also, somebody else informed me that he was talking shit about me constantly in another Discords, more than one, but this comment was also what broke the camel's back. He said, as I said before the change was implemented, nerfing the most popular booster in the game and lying to them about it is going to backfire and they will hate us for it while losing trust. This is exactly what happened. It's not about the percentage nerf, it's about the principle of transparency and hitting popular things in a negative way. People have a very negative relationship with a lot of modern products because they only hurt things they love. It's a bigger message than just, small nerf, but obviously there was a big overreaction. That was, 2 months ago? Not daily. The fact that most people didn't vote isn't an argument in your favor of the point when the majority of people actually voted were against it. You cannot use non-voters to justify your decision. This was in the staff chat. So he basically wrote here, this is why earlier in the video I said, remember these things are going to be important later. He wrote that he didn't agree with the opinion after I did a poll to ask about the Fleetfoot nerf, and the community had a little bit more of a percentage in favor. The earlier comment he made where he, Raptor, advocated not only for the changes, he suggested the stealth nerf. Now he turned around and he was basically saying, I never agreed to that, and acting two-faced. He was the sole person on the balance team who was against the way we went about it and the nerf. It was comments like this and above, that made me get rid of him. It became super obvious he was trying to turn people against me or even just lying about events to help justify his argument. It's one thing to not agree with me or the Blood Oath, okay? It's another to try to lie pretending you didn't suggest the stealth nerf and that you take this holier-than-thou approach when you agreed with it along with the rest of us, but then turn around and pretended you didn't. The thing is, prior to the trailer, there were some of us who were working endlessly to try to get this up. I pointed out, just because you joined the team after the trailer and didn't work on reviving the games for 5 years, and then you start acting like you had a major impact on the project prior to this, you basically try to undermine somebody who was here before and who worked way longer on it and did blood, sweat, and tears to get here, talk shit about me in a chat full of other staff, to hopefully push me out because I removed you for your controversial and problematic behavior because of racist comments towards certain groups and attacks on them. It's just such completely astounding that you can sit there and think that's entirely okay. Imagine you join after the trailer and Raptor had this notion that he was such an important person, that he was so vital to this project. No, you joined after. And I'm not saying people who joined after aren't important. There's a lot of good people on the team who I'm so glad joined after the trailer and who've been a huge help. But don't sit there being a smug ass and throwing everyone under the bus and act like, oh, you're so pivotal to the project without you being here. You know, you, Raptor, were part of the reasons, alongside a myriad of others, that led to me getting fed up and frustrated. Did I do everything perfectly? No. However, I was done with the constant problems with this community when we're not even 7 months into what's supposed to be a beta or alpha. It was an alpha at this time. Maybe it was a beta. I can't freaking remember. And it was constant issues daily. I said with Raptor, I should have been done before adding him back and kept him removed. But I thought, again, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I was too heated. Only for him to upset players with his anti-Arabic comments. Sorry, when you start pretending right in front of my face that you had no contribution to that nerf and stealth patch, and the audacity to try to spin the tail that you did, go screw yourself. You showed right in there that I can't work with you or have you around, because when push comes to shove, you're going to screw over the entire team you worked with and scapegoat all of them to make it seem like you're the good guy or you didn't have a major role in that decision. And this is just, you can see me saying he's been talking shit about me in another chat for the past days. It became, who snitched? What do you mean who snitched? That's the pivotal point you're worried about? Who snitched? Not that I have somebody on staff bad-mouthing me. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I listed, like, why I removed him, like, his general attitude and stuff, but you see me telling the staff member, I removed him because he was talking shit about me in other chats, and you can see his attitude in here is super disrespectful. You have somebody rallying against me and sowing discord on another Discord, like, funnily enough, and then it's like, who snitched? Wow, who snitched is the thing we want to focus on. At the end of the day, I don't, nor does any one of the other staff members have to work with somebody who's turned against certain people or is acting disrespectful to any individual staff member. I'll echo the words of another admin early on in this project. If someone can't show even respect at the basis level, they have no place on this team. Because if you can't respect somebody, how do you plan to work with them? The last comment about that nerf was super disrespectful to the entire balance team he worked with. At this point, Raptor started using his position publicly on D. Barker's server to try to get people to go against me and sow discord. Remember, this wasn't even news. I already had confirmation of this prior to removing him from staff. You can see him attacking me for no reason. You can see him saying, better not to do anything at all. If you taunt for Daredevil, you'll get banned. It goes beyond that, though. He eventually started telling people, you don't message me or report things to staff on Reloaded. It gets even worse because he starts being his usual toxic self and fighting other players. He literally goes and fights with Kashi, who ended up together because Kashi got mad at me, I guess. They ended up becoming best friends because they both hate me, I guess. What can I do? I bring people together. I mean, I'm happy for that, you know? I'm so glad I can do that for people. Why would I have somebody on staff, once again, who constantly talks shit about me because I got tired of their behavior, constantly saying Uncharted 3 sucks, constantly fighting with everyone and never stopping? People in this Discord, like D. Barker and Sky, told him to stop fighting and to quit attacking me constantly. And he didn't listen, he kept going. Sky wanted him eventually unbanned. I let him kind of be on the server, but he kept kind of attacking me. It became even beyond that, where he would go after other players in the Discord. He'd make comments towards me, or at an attempt to get underbalance people's skin. You have more incidents of him fighting, included this one, where Raptor literally attacked Kirst and Jane for no reason. They didn't do anything. Or you see him saying they nerfed Fleetfoot, and you can guess what happened. And Raptor puts they at a sly dig like, oh, they, you mean vampire. You were there! Like, what do you mean they? You were there! Greatest thing is the next thing he says, the balance team is stupid for what they did and they don't know what they're doing. But this is in February. He was literally the one who suggested a lot of these changes, confirmed the changes. So you were just on the balance team. We didn't remove all the stuff he suggested, obviously, because we were in the process of doing a patch. Kept the stuff, and then you say is smoking the same shit the Uncharted balance team is. That's you. That's you. He keeps going. He's like, yeah, with who's on balance. Like he's making attacks on me specifically, but it could have been anyone on balance. I mean, at one point he says, oh, only me, Sky, and O Cooper should be on balance. So everyone else go go to hell, I guess. Even when I unbanned him and I let him play as Sky said I should, he kept fighting with everyone or kept being toxic. Almost like 8 years ago, yeah, you were the problem. You were toxic. And you still are. I didn't respond to him publicly or fight or comment. I would maybe troll, or when I say troll, I make funny, unserious comments. I never attacked him or publicly said anything to him or turned people against him or talked about him until this point. I didn't provoke, belittle. He could play, right? Somebody on Reddit they connected via VPN, I think it was, and they wouldn't provide any socials and they kept being argumentative, so I banned them. They later got unbanned after they provided a Steam, I think it was a Steam with information. In this Reddit thread, Raptor, who's Patara is his name, says I single-handedly killed the project from the experience, this and that, no regard. Basically, just this huge attack on me, right? That I'm this horrible bitch. And once again, the guy who was banned was like, I appreciate you being honest. And Vampire just like is this awful person, according to Raptor, that I'm insidious, that the conflict-driven, blah 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 blah. You can pause and read. That's what got him banned for good, because it led to people coming into tickets and to just fight with me. I would have people who join and just, or like, I heard about you, and completely start attacking me when I was just like, can I see your Steam? Like, can you show me something that shows you aren't an alt? Here's the thing. You don't have to pretend. You want to pretend that you're not playing a part in any of the stuff that happens. Sure. But don't sit there and touch upon his last comment here. I hope that I will return to it with the express intent to make the games and the best they can be for the community while being entirely transparent and open to both critique and feedback. Don't sit there and pretend you'd be some side of the community when not only do you have a history of being toxic, you constantly fought with people in the Discord and inside it and out of it, and you act like you were transparent, but you were the one who suggested the stealth nerf and didn't take accountability for it. Don't act like you weren't constantly racist or causing problems or had behavior issues while in the server. I'm pretty sure, and maybe he's changed, a couple of months ago, he still talks shit about me almost every day on his stream and continues to talk about it with other people. When I say other people, I don't care if you talk about it, well, you have a friend and you just talk in DMs, whatever. But no, he'll go on his stream or say it in other Discords in public. I don't do that. At least if you're going to talk shit about me, at least do it in private. I'd prefer that than, trying to get at me in public. And because I'm not going to respond and waste my time. I don't comment or respond. Like, this is the first time I have in this video on this whole ordeal, because I don't want constant drama. I know, that's surprising. This community, you don't want constant drama? You picked the wrong community. This happened over a year ago, and it's still going on. He's still fighting with people, still bringing it up. I'm willing to let it die at this point, move on, and I'd let him play till he kept going at me. You can't pretend you're transparent. You're not. The best part about this, though, Raptor's told other people he'll be invited back onto the balance team. Even if I unban you, why would I work with you? You've shown yourself to be kind of toxic, two-faced, and you insulted every person you used to work with on the balance team. You pretended like you didn't have a part in the Fleetfoot nerf. You literally called everyone on balance idiots publicly on the Discord, and pretended 3 of you, Sky, you, and Cooper, were the only ones worth having on balance. You insult every person on the team. Why would I bring you back? No matter what happens, I'll never work with you on staff or balance, because why would I work with somebody who absolutely hates me, is willing to throw every person on the team under the bus when they suggested the nerf? Just ironic that the guy who has problems with almost everyone constantly brings up politics on stream, and who is known for his toxicity and assholeness 8 years ago, is talking like he's not the one problem person in the community fighting with everyone and causing problems. You attacked Exploralimus in chat. You attack Kashi, even though you fixed your issues with him to both come together and hate. You constantly have issues with people going out of your way to provoke them, to make ethnic and racially charged comments against certain players. I want to also point out that a lot of people didn't have a lot of insight to what was going on behind the scenes or the amount of bullshit that I was dealing with. And once again, I'm not alleviating myself of mistakes or blame. I messed up a lot. Yet, with every constant issue since that trailer announcement and the personal workload I was carrying on my shoulders in real life, there were times where I was ready, we should shut down the entire project or quit, because I was being pushed to my limit, and I'm tired of, dealing with the constant drama or toxicity or disrespect and hate. The next convo I hid who said what, but the point is, it's not like Raptor being insufferable had an unnoticed presence after I moved him, and the hypocrisy he displayed. Somebody says, funny thing is, Raptor's his own worst enemy by far, because for most of us, I know I'm especially interested in his input, but he makes himself insufferable and impossible to work with, and his ideas aren't going to get much consideration as a consequence. He's just shooting himself in the foot. Or, yeah, as the old saying goes, if it doesn't matter if you're right, if no one likes you, Raptor's just a negative presence. He doesn't do anything but complain or bitch to do the further the community. And somebody else is like, Raptor just doesn't really have any real excuse or much redeemable about him. I even say I'm not perfect and stuff. You can see here, ever since the stuff that happened, he's been trash talking us many times, of course, lying to his viewers. Like, it's not just me. Yeah, I met Raptor in 2016 on UC4, and the first thing I noticed is that he's just unnecessarily toxic. Like, it's not that serious, man. Relax. I figured he'd be back for this project and was hoping he'd grown up a bit in 10 years. I guess not. To be fair, Raptor should have just shut up and stopped engaging, but he seems incapable of that. Once again, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but having to deal with all the stuff I have since starting this project, it's taken its toll on me. And, I'm always trying my best. But when it's constant issues every other day, it's tiring. It really is. Someone like Raptor, the only thing he does is bring people down, engage in drama, and constantly cause problems no matter where he goes. This is like the first video where I wanted to touch upon this. It's not even the worst. It gets worse from here. So buckle up. I can already see someone going, but you made this video. How are you letting it go? I made this video and others because of the constant attacks on me by people like Raptor and Stripes. But every time they go live or have an opportunity to, they use it to attack me despite me not even talking or mentioning them publicly. Even now, this video isn't done, and we're gonna talk about Stripes. Stripes was on staff, and what he would do is prevent his friends from being caught cheating and try to throw off evidence against them or suspicions raised against them and sabotage the investigation. It led to me actually having to make separate cheat teams with selected individuals to look at evidence and investigate and determine if cheating occurred, with the intent of removing Stripes being able to partake in investigations due to his biases. He actually here tried to recommend Vemdy. We'll get to Vemdy later, but he's a notorious hacker in the Uncharted community and is very well known in the past prior to Reloaded for cheating and being a huge problem. Stripes would advocate that none of them, Seastroy or himself, ever had modded consoles, or that none of them have hacks. And I bring this up because what happens next is gonna blow your mind. You can literally see, and his friend submitted this, right? It wasn't even me who got this video. His friend who he was cheating with gave us this big finale where he throws his little cluster bomb, right? So it would be his ranks at 0, and then he activates it again and gets it back. That's just it. Like, you see him, boom. Stripes advocated for endlessly never cheating, that he never had a modded console or any of his friends. He swore up and down he was this paragon of good and always playing fair, cheated. He cheated on Reloaded, the server. You can see his friend, I can't remember what his name is. It's called 60, but so Stripes gets a special treatment and I get banned when I haven't touched the game in weeks. And he literally says above, Stripes gave me unlimited RPG ammo. It's crazy that Stripes cheating and his friend comes and says, no, I know him better than you do. At this point, I'm trying to handle the situation, right? And I ask, how long has Stripes been cheating? Well, since 2019, everyone's been saying this. Not only does he cheat all the time, he will say he's never cheating if they're playing an actual comp match, but he also said he modded his stats and went on and helped them do that. Stripes tries to say his past actions are just that. Him defending Seastroy, someone he thought was innocent, was just him not knowing, him having the wool pulled over his eyes, except you did know. The reason I'm pointing this all out is because Stripes likes to pretend he has no knowledge of Vemdy, Seastroy, or any of the others cheating. If he honestly believed people thinks he has no affiliation or awareness about that, he needs to come to grips with reality. But at least be honest in your relationship with cheaters, the hacking the game in-game yourself, and going around pretending you didn't know or weren't associated with them. You're telling me you don't know. Let's be real. You're in all the chats probably gloating and taking the piss about getting away with hacking and using your moderation powers when you're on staff to help you and your friends get a ban evasion. You were cheating since 2019. Your family member, Rocky, whatever he is, was cheating in tournaments and got caught. Your entire friend group is notoriously known for cheating and hacking, Dark, Brian, and Vemdy included, and Seastroy. People that you recommended and put on my moderation team for staff because I didn't know the history or any better. You then act like you're better than your cheating friends just because you got away with it. You've actively damaged the community and you hurt the competitive scene. And you still try to act you didn't know Seastroy was cheating or you had no idea about any of this. I even told Stripes to stop defending these people who clearly cheat way early on when he messaged me trying to get Seastroy unbanned. I tell him, Why are you wasting your time and your reputation getting ruined to bring a cheater back on the game? We constantly hear it over and over. I didn't cheat. Next, I did cheat on Airstrip Oli from Seastroy, and it's me pointing out that how are you trying to sit here saying that it's worth this fight? You're associated with Legacy, competitive tournament, and you're defending cheaters. This is somebody who's tried to steal $800 from a tournament and stuff. There's just no justification for it. Even recently, you can check the dates for this image. He's trying to say Seastroy should get another chance. Nothing has been learned. He's like, there's always a chance for people. Look, agree in a lot of chances for a lot of people. There's some people in the community who I turn and I go, do we really want to give you another chance? Look at all the toxicity and all the issues you've done. But for these people, what I call to them as the Americans, I don't think there's another chance. I don't know what to say. He cheated every chance he got. Seastroy and a lot of these people cheated every chance that they had and tried to steal money from a tournament. He keeps going on about how Rocky, his family, friends didn't cheat, etc., etc. Who are you trying to fool? I'm not trying to be a dick here, but everyone knows it's well known that they're your friends, and you have ties to all these players who cheat. Your own friends, since you've been doing this type of stuff, you act like you have no idea. Oh, gasp! You're shocked to find out they all hacked and cheated. Stop pretending that we don't know you cheated with them, that you were unaware that they cheated. We all know you cheated. We all know you partook in the cheating and hacking. I say this because it's more damaging to your reputation and to legacy when you act that you never knew. If you want people to trust you and take you or your ladder seriously, then own up to your mistakes and your affiliation with them rather than denying it. I said multiple times in this video, I mess up a lot. Like I do. I honestly do. I'm aware. I'm always trying my best with what I have resource-wise and what I can do for the community. It isn't as easy as it looks from an outsider's view to kind of run any of this or partake in this, and let alone trying to make the right choice every time. You know, the icing on the cake is he tried to write to one of my staff about this. This is his little thing. Oh, I want the project to recede. Lots of things have been set up by Reddit, by Raptor, and other users. They dislike the, quote, leadership of this project, or actually targeting Vampire, calling him Hitler. He goes into this whole thing about how he doesn't have any biases. He should be on the admin team. Oh, I should go get his... Why would I work with you? Look, am I perfect? No. 100% I'm not. This is just part one of a multi-series video of all the shit I deal with. And it's not even a fraction or percentage of what I have to do to help out with the server or moderate or all the tasks I do. But don't sit there pretending you have no knowledge of cheating, that you have no biases. Everyone knows long-term now that you had these associations with hackers and cheaters prior to the revival. And if they don't, hopefully they do now. You played a part in months for alleviating your friends of bans. You knew they were cheating, ruining the game, and you helped to prolong their hacking, which caused a lot of damage. You lied to me early on about none of them and yourself having modded consoles, and you kept lying as if you didn't know they cheated. Your own friend ratted you out about that, right? You literally said, Stripes cheated. He's been cheating since 2009, hiding that your family cheated. You're a huge reason for the Blood Oath alongside all your friends cheating and causing constant fights or drama alongside Raptor, because both caused a lot of drama and caused a lot of stress. You constantly cheated or allowed people to cheat and obstructive justice against them. Add on to that with people like Raptor or other staff not helping out or being toxic or using their position to advantage themselves and their friends. I woke up one day and I'm like, that's it, Blood Oath! The amount of stress, bullshit, and issues this community gave us from announcing the beta took its toll. And within 7 months, I was just done of it. The reason you want to be so badly an admin on the Reloaded team is to gain access to the backend. So you can run your own server how you like and make it so much better than how me and my team runs it. Let's just flat out get that out there. The real reason you want to be an admin and staff so bad is so you can try to make your own server. You wanted to be one back in 2024 and tried to convince me to make you one alongside other things that you made apparent what your real intentions were. You tried to ask me what certain back-end stuff or percentages were for when we were modding and stuff, and why would I ever tell you that? And then we had a rule on balance that I wouldn't give exact specific details to anyone on the team about what this percentage was or what this was, rate of fire, things like that. And then you think if I was an admin, it'd be fine. You just get him keep pushing and pushing and pushing about getting access to back-end stuff or getting access to server stuff. And I even said to him, yeah, it came off like you wanting access to her code or something. Oh, I know it's private and you all worked on it. Even if I had that information, I'm probably the most trustworthy when it comes to things like that. I don't share anything with anyone, which is why I don't need your code in exchange for anything. You're the biggest bullshitter ever. No one trusts you as far as they can throw you because you lie to everyone and your intentions speak volumes with what you try to tell people. All somebody has to do is read what you're writing writing here, and it's like, yeah, clearly this guy keeps pushing for admin access, not because he wants to help the community or do anything good with it. He just wants to make his own server or run it, and then he'll have his cheating friends do stuff. There was one conversation where I can't find where he eventually said he wanted to rise his staff to eventually be an admin and have access to everything. It's another thing that made me not trust him alongside his clear biases and lying. I can already see, Stripes writing some PR statement trying to combat this, except people already knew about your lying in history prior to me finding out. You can see here, talk about Stripes, Rocky Seastroy, they're very fake and deceitful. They do the same thing on Uncharted 4, but nobody stops them. They always play the victim. I told him that maybe he should stop lying, change his attitude in the alt account. He sends this stupid thing about how he has nothing to apologize, how he hasn't done anything wrong, sorry that I'm unable to play because everyone's false reports me. Why are you playing the victim? Others would get reported as known cheaters, but when he does, they go after us. Yeah, you're cheating. You got caught. You might be wondering what Stripes is saying here if you pause and read, where he's like, I reported Kaede and Kaede? How do you, I don't know.
But that's Kaede's lie, isn't it? Kaede's lie, isn't it?
And Vampire just hand-waved it and didn't do anything. You want to know why he came to report Kaede? When his best friend Seastroy got accused by them for cheating in a tournament, he tried to retaliate by filing a cheating complaint and report against Kaede and others. Which was so obvious. I just said to him, look, I'm not going to waste my time on this. Why? Because it is clear what is going on. It's clear that your report is being made in retaliation. If staff is cheating, I always look into it. But not when I have the Stripes, the ENT fangirl, sabotaging and screwing with investigations to get his cheating friends off when it's well known he plays the same cheating games as them. And I have had staff who have cheated, and I have banned them. I had one staff member who hacked his ranks to gold. He got banned, and he recently cheated again, and then he got mad that I banned him for cheating. It's super obvious you're cheating, dude. I'm not gonna ever bring you back on staff because you've shown yourself incapable of being honest with what happened, and still to this day you try to act you're some saint who had no involvement. And it's clear you have ulterior motives why you want to be on staff. And once again, I'm sure Stripes will write some YouTube comment or some announcement in Legacy saying that's not the real reason he wants to be on staff, but that's what it felt like to me, with him kept pushing and pushing for back-end access, or trying to keep pushing this rhetoric of, oh, he can totally help the server, oh, Vamp is overwhelmed. I don't need your help with the server. I have staff who, in the restructuring of the server, I've put into admin positions who I know care and can help. I'm not just going to put you on because I'm desperate. No, thank you. I'd rather take the time to find people and put them where I need them. It's especially been known and communicated that you also talk shit about me publicly, similar to Raptor via YouTube videos and stuff, or stream or whatever. Like, what universe would I ever bring you back on board? At the end of the day, I wanted to make the series and part one of this video to kind of outline why everything isn't so picturesque as it seems, and some of the trials and tribulations that I've gone through and other staff has gone through. The point is not to drag Stripes or Raptor or make people hate them. It's outlining that these are just two specific instances among many different instances of issues, and I have hundreds of more. I could spend 500 hours going into each and every one of problems with the community, or how people act, or cheating, or hypocrisy. There's so much more, but just for this script alone and editing this video, it took hours and hours. The hope is, after watching these videos in the series and making them, that there can be improvements going forward for both the community, the moderation problems and issues, and trying to move forward. The hope is to move on from all this drama, all this hate towards me and the project, and outline that just because somebody tells you I'm this awful person, that it isn't the whole story. Yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes. I really have made a lot of them. It's easy to judge me or hate me when you don't have to stand in my shoes or any of the staff's shoes and deal with the constant issues for reviving games you love and cherish, and hoping to make people happy again. And do a cool thing. Would I potentially actually be open to reconciliation with Raptor? Yeah, if he wants to talk to me, move on, and let things actually go in the past and actually move forward, I'm all for it. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to be this huge, horrible person. Does that mean him being unbanned and able to play again? Sure, yeah. If he wants to talk to me, man to man about moving past this and stop with constant bullshit and attacks on me and general toxicity or politics, sly remarks about Balancer myself, I'm open to that dialogue. However, if he keeps making comments against me or the staff, or sly comments, or aggressive attacking us, or playing games like he does and being rude and passive aggressive, then it'll end up with him being banned again, and this time for good, if he does reach out to talk to me and get unbanned. Does this mean giving Stripes us another chance in unbanning him. Originally, I actually started discussions with him to unban him. However, with the past affiliation with the ENT group and a recent incident that occurred recently in June 2026, which I'll touch upon in another video, the answer has shifted to no, and I'll get into the details on that later. But you know what isn't helping anything from both of them? Continuing to talk bad about me or act like I'm this awful person and keep attacking me, whether on video or Reddit or wherever else. Once again, I'm not perfect. I really want to clarify that, and I'm trying my best to make the community a healthy place, to try my best with everything that's been thrown at me and everything continuing to be thrown at me, to try to be a better admin, a better leader, and to learn from all the mistakes I made. I think people take for granted how difficult this all has been. You know, not even just a revival aspect alone, like that was difficult too, but navigating all this drama or constant problems in the community or even slights against me. I think people take for granted just how much this team does. How early in the release we had all this and much more done and going on. It's not like we just one day turned on a switch and boom, here's a revived server with modding stuff. No, it took a long time. The next video in this series will be called The Cheating Pandemic. It'll go into more issues and touch upon more things. It's a part 2 of this multi-part series. As I said, the point of this is to kind of give you guys, the community, into some insight about the stuff we had to deal with. And it's not even 1% of the total amount of issues we'd had since day one. There's a lot more issues and a lot more problems, not from a server perspective, but just community, just how people act towards us, just how people cheat and things. The hope is maybe you can kind of get why I can come off frustrated or why other staff members can come off frustrated, and why I'm hoping with going forward with this YouTube that I've made and with redone moderation system that everything can kind of shift, I guess is the word, to a better future for the games, and where we don't continue to have these same issues over and over again. And I'll touch upon that more in other videos. All right, and this is kind of a little bit of an outro. Oh, this video wasn't edited too much. It was basically just making a PowerPoint and kind of talking. The choice for that was to kind of get my feet off the ground, and knowing that these would be a 2-hour videos, a PowerPoint made the most sense to be able to talk about the most issues that were present and have it all kind of cohesively in a consistent order and show it. I'm hoping in the future more videos will be edited better and stuff, but for the first kind of videos, it's me getting a grasp on things, and for these big, long, 2-hour videos, I don't know how long all of them are going to be, it's me just trying to make it as least amount of editing possible so I can get past the drama, get past all these type of intro videos to get to more substantial stuff, I hope. Yeah, hopefully if you like it, I say like it like if this was like a drama, 2-hour drama filled so kind of videos, not these kind of videos, but me making videos and hopefully talking about more fun stuff. Feel free to subscribe, I guess. Yeah.